Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Free-to-Play Cast, episode 127. We're recording on February 3rd. You're watching it on February 5th. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magicman. Man, we got some big news. Some big news that kind of nobody saw coming. We'll get to it, but first, let me introduce him. You know him, you love him, Mr. PAX South, Jason Winter. How are you?
You know, it was kind of a slow news week. I thought maybe we just won't do a cast this week.
I know, right?
Blah.
Well, we had a couple games that we were going to talk about from your PAX South things, and we were like, okay, you know, that's good. That'll take 8 to 10 minutes, and let's get to other news topics. And it's like, well, nothing's going on. And then yesterday, Jason took a break from his computer, came back, and saw an article I pushed, and was like, wait, what?
What? Huh?
What happened? So let's just get right to the news, gang. All right, big news. Just broke yesterday on February 2nd. Sony Online Entertainment is no more. Well, under that name. So, in news of the weird out of nowhere, a marketing firm, Columbus Nova, based in New York, manages about $15 billion, I think it was on their site, $15 billion in assets. An investment firm in New York acquired Sony Online Entertainment from Sony. Terms of the deal still have not publicly been disclosed, and probably never will be for a deal of this type. Maybe we'll get an overview at some point. But yeah, kind of came out of nowhere. Now Sony Online Entertainment is being rebranded as Daybreak Game Company, which means we're going to have to update every freaking SOE link on our website.
You go right ahead with that.
So, before we get into what does this mean for the future of all the projects that Sony Online Entertainment has been working on and what it means for future development, what were your initial thoughts and reactions to the news?
Well, like you said, I took a shower and came back 10 minutes later, and I see this news. I'm like, what? Yeah, it was just surprising that, for Sony to basically get out of the online gaming, or at least this, the kind of core online gaming stuff. Obviously, still have the PlayStation 4 and, do stuff on there. But this being really one of their most high-profile subsidiaries, to just get rid of that and toss it over to someone else is just surprising.
Yeah, I'm going to show some DCUO footage here, just so that you have some games to watch. It's a Sony Online Entertainment game for you. Yeah, I was kind of taken aback by it, too. And initially, I wasn't sure the news was real. I think the first place I saw it was Reddit, right? And so I was like, I don't know about this. Because Jason and I, we have tons of places that we go to find news. And then if we find it on some of our lesser sites that we visit, we're kind of in a position of we've got to double check this before we put it out there. So I saw it on Reddit, and I'm like, I don't know, is this true? I mean, it looks like it is, because it's got the SOE handle for the Reddit name and everything. And then, so I started hitting the forums for things like DCUO, PlanetSide 2, and all that stuff. And the same post was on all the forums, and wow, this is legit. They just sold this. I
first saw it on, like I said, in our system with you writing it up, and I was like, is Mike right? Is this some sort of April Fool's joke that he's pulling or something? So I went to Twitter and saw like some SOE employees actually talking about it. So like, oh, okay, well, I guess, all right.
Yeah, and what was really weird was we had never even heard rumbles of this potential deal happening.
She
or
never
something
knew.
Like this.
Well, not always.
Sometimes you get a flag that there's discussions of some type. You may not know the players, but you get, and especially with somebody like John Smedley, you would expect that if something was going on,
he can't keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, he can't stay quiet about anything. So you would expect that you'd probably hear a little something or murmurs, but damn, kudos to them. They kept it internal. So what does this mean for Daybreak Game Company, formerly SOE? Well, it means they're now considered independent. So they're no longer tied to just the PC and the PlayStation brand. This does open them up for mobile applications, Xbox One, so that's got to be a good thing long term, especially for an investment firm picking them up, right?
Yeah, I mean, Smedley says he wants to have his company develop for Xbox. That's certainly in the plan. So maybe that was part of the reason for this move. Like I said, we're like, how did this happen? Well, maybe they saw, Smedley and his people saw that opportunity in Xbox Of course, they couldn't develop for Xbox when they were part of Sony, so that's maybe part of why they made this move.
Certainly makes EverQuest Next a little more exciting, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they
I
talk
mean,
about how much DCUO was made on PlayStation 4, so maybe that over to Xbox might provide them with similar returns.
yeah. I mean, we detailed an article not too long ago where DCUO was monetizing very well on consoles when compared to PCs. So some of the other titles would probably follow suit there. PlanetSide 2.
PlanetSide 2, yeah.
You know, that's a big one that's, you know, PS4 players are monetized well there, so Xbox One players, let's monetize there as well. And now here's the thing though, we still run into Microsoft's desire to not have their players play on servers that also accommodate PlayStation players. So even though SOE is no longer part of Sony and they're now an independent company, you still have to think that Microsoft is going to, nope, if you're going to do this on the Xbox, you're going to have Xbox only servers, right?
Well, but that's kind of what we have right now. I mean, the
Yeah.
PlayStation, the PlayStation servers don't mix with the PC servers for DCO. They probably won't for PlanetSide 2. So that's not that crazy, I guess.
But now you're running 3 different sets of servers for the same game.
That's they got that 15
And
billion working for them now, so they can afford it.
And it's 2015. I mean, come on, guys. 2015. So yeah, a bit surprising there. Definitely good news if you've wanted to play these games and you've been an Xbox junkie and you're not a PlayStation junkie. What do you think this means for Sony as a company?
For Sony, not SOE.
Not SOE. Just, I mean, to me, it's all good for SOE. You
Yeah.
get to maintain business as usual, and you've opened up new revenue opportunities. I don't see a bad side unless at some point the investment firm starts trying to dictate what the company does work on. Then things can get a little dicey. But on the broad strokes of this is good for SOE, in my opinion.
Yeah, despite what everyone's going to say. I mean, the thing is, you and I and everyone listening to this, we have no idea what's going to happen.
Right.
We can all post our little ideas on, we think this, we think that. And what I tweeted out yesterday, I said, last year, SOE shut down 4 games.
Yeah.
If that thing happens this year, why did it happen? Oh, the corporate overlords dictated everything. That's why they shut games down. That's why they shut down Star Wars Galaxies and why they canceled the agency. No, wait, that all happened before. Here, games are going to shut down. They're going to do and they're going to have screw-ups. They had them before. They're going to keep having them. Doesn't matter who's in charge or who's running the money. So, who knows whether it's going to be from one reason or another.
For Sony as a company, how do you think this fares? I think it's kind of neutral myself. I mean, Sony's been selling off assets for 6 quarters straight now.
Sure, and they must know, they have an idea what they want to do and what their strategy is, and if that doesn't include, this level of online gaming, they just figured they want to get out of it. Got some money for it, I suppose, and are just going to concentrate on other stuff.
Yeah, I view it as kind of neutral, right? Because they're still going to reap profits off of
I don't think Sony's going to go away.
Yeah, it's not going away. But they're still going to be reaping profits off of these because they have their licensing agreements to be able to use the products on the PlayStation. So they're still going to make money off the products, and now they don't have to front money for development or things like that anymore. So from a profit standpoint, yeah, you still get to keep the money you're making. Maybe you're making a little less now because it's a licensing deal and not an internal deal, but you're still making money and you don't have to front too much of the money to get the development done. Yeah, so I think it's kind of a wash, and obviously they get the money off of the sale of the company too. So I'm not as when I initially saw this, I was like, oh man, that's terrible. And then as I thought about it more, I think this is kind of a win-win-win across the board for everybody, and we'll just have to wait and see how much Columbus Nova wants to get their hands into what the company actually does. That's really the only potential downside I could see at this exact moment.
Yeah, the thing is, we'll probably never know how much that is. Because you can look even the other way. It's not like John Smedley has never had a boss to report to. It's instead of some guy in Japan, it's now some guy in New York.
Yeah, you got to wonder, though, if the Columbus Nova is going to be a little more, John, you need to just shut your Twitter off.
Oh.
Because Sony's HR and PR department already was pulling their hair out over that guy. Love him to death. So
probably,
funny.
yeah.
So
I'm actually
funny.
on Columbus Nova Technology Partners website. It's different from their main website, and it lists a bunch of different cntp.com if anybody wants to look there. And it lists like 30 or so companies that they're a part of. The only one I recognize is Rhapsody.
Rhapsody is still around?
Apparently.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, they have a lot of stuff. Not a whole lot more info. They apparently have an office in California. So
All the viewers can tell now, no, I don't get my music from Rhapsody. I haven't. I haven't for probably like 12 years. And the only reason I had Rhapsody back in the day was because like 15 years ago I worked at Best Buy, and you couldn't leave Best Buy without somebody shoving a Rhapsody trial down your throat. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Leave your comments below. You can just wait, because that's our question of the week. We'll get to it. Next up, though, you attended PAX South. You got your hands on a couple of games, a couple of free-to-play games. You wrote up a few pieces, a few like reviews or synopsis of what you'd played, what you'd experienced. I wanted to kind of just get a little Q&A going here,
all right.
and kind of pick your brain about these, because one of these titles I'm very interested in. One of them, people have been asking when it was going to come out since before I had left MMO Bomb in my previous ventures. So let's get to it. And I'm going to show, we don't have much footage on these, but just I'll give you a little bit of footage. They're a couple of minutes each. Let's talk about Cabal 2 first.
Okay.
Overall impressions of Cabal 2.
It's an Asian MMO. It's a Korean-developed MMO, and that's pretty much what it is. I thought it had a few interesting bits. We only got like half an hour on it, totally guided tour and everything, so I didn't have the freedom to explore everything. But we had it like right in their suite, so we could ask and answer questions. Me and another guy were there. And yeah, I mean, they at least are trying to do a little bit of different things with the combat, working out the combo system, combo combat. Interesting bit, they had the like little spots around the world where apparently different stuff will launch, so it's kind of like having dynamic events that just kind of go off all over the place. In terms of my overall interest in it, probably not that high. It depends on how much how much of the other stuff that I love is going to be in there. But
you didn't get a peek at inventory system?
Actually, I did open my inventory once, but I didn't analyze it for like half an hour, so I only had a little bit of time. But
I'm not. People may think that I'm joking. I'm not. Jason could write articles about just inventory systems, and he has. It's a pet peeve with him, man. If you screw up inventory, it doesn't matter how good the game is. He's not playing it. This is one, though, that, again, as I referenced it already, has been in development for what seems like forever, and what people have been asking, when is this going to come out? When is this going to come out? Have you heard anything? It was one of the most common questions ever submitted to the old Ask MMO Bomb show, was, do you guys have any information on Cabal 2? And that was 2 years ago that we were doing that show. By the way, we're looking at a reincarnation of that show, but in a slightly different format, so stay tuned on that one. So yeah, to me, I don't know. I like the combat system, but I don't know. I never really got too deep into Cabal, so I'm not one of those guys that's super pumped about Cabal 2. I do like that visually, even though it seems like it's been in development for a long time, it's not one of those games that you look at right away and go, that should have come out 4 years ago.
Yeah,
visually, from what you showed me, it seemed like at least it was maintaining current graphical standards going forward.
Yeah, when I played it, I didn't have any qualms with the graphics. I really liked. I mean, you saw the Warrior video, I think, in the bit that I put on the site, and that's what I played. And I had shards of earth coming up when I did a big AOE, so that was pretty cool.
You also played Dreadnought,
Mm-hmm.
which we had talked about on a previous show and kind of speculated on when all we had was a trailer and slow moving, and is this really going to be fun to play, or are you going to sit there? You seem to like it, actually.
Yeah, the slow movement took a little while to get used to. Like I said, I was trying, because it's in flight, I tend to think of it like, like a World of Warplanes kind of thing. I wanted to dart all around. You don't dart around in this game. They are slow and lumbering. They can take a pretty good, ships can take a pretty good beating. I didn't try the actual Dreadnought, which is kind of like the tank class of it. Mostly I played the sniper, the artillery cruiser, which, like I said, seemed a little OP because everyone was so slow and probably still trying to learn about movement. One guy, though, was darting around at long distance, and I could not hit him to save my life. So it's definitely a little of that involved. But yeah, I mean, again, talking about visuals, it's a great game to look at with all the particle effects and tons of lasers and guns and missiles and everything going off. It seems like it could be a lot of fun to play in a somewhat different mold than what you're used to in kind of arena battler type of game.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with Dreadnought, it's Jaeger Games and Gray Box, and they're developing I guess the best way to describe it is a space combat sim.
Yeah,
Is a fair description, except the ships are huge. Most of the ships are huge, and so you've got kind of like that what you think a Star Wars fight would look like if it actually could physically happen, between an Imperial cruiser and all these different ships, and they're very slow and lumbering, and they can fire all around. That was another piece that you said you had to get used to, right? Was you expected to be able to fire just straight forward,
yeah,
but you could actually fire in 360.
yeah. That was a little hard to get used to.
Overall impressions, are you kind of pumped about this game? You were lukewarm about it when we talked about it when we first got a trailer, but it seemed like you were kind of digging this one.
Yeah, it's definitely more interesting than I thought originally, especially if I can, it's going to take a little while, like I said, to find the ship that's right for me, to figure out exactly what all the controls do. They give us a card that had all sorts of information on it. I figured out how to move and shoot and adjust my energy, and that was about it. But there's a lot more there to it, I think. One ship even has like a ram, like a energy ram that you can plow into other people with, so should be a lot of different strategies available for that.
And we did see the ability you really had to work as a team. I mean, even in a huge ship, you were vulnerable if you were out by yourself. You had mentioned in your piece about outrunning a Corvette and hiding behind a big brother on your team for survival, and I kind of like that type of stuff.
Yeah, because I cannot deal with things close up like that. In my little sniper ship.
This is one that I think a lot of people are interested in. Gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
Or should we say Overwatch? I mean,
Gigoverwatch.
Gigover. Wait, it may not be Overwatch anymore. We still don't know the.
Yeah, that's right.
the pending patent disputes there. Give me the overview here.
The overview of Overwatch. Oh,
no. Overview Gigantic.
Yeah, exactly. Gigantic. It's like I said. It's kind of like a MOBA, kind of like a Team Fortress Overwatch kind of arena battler. You'll have I think they had 14 characters available in the game at this point. And basically, you go around, you claim control points, which help you claim control points, try to kill the other team, of course. All this kind of powers up your Guardian, which is this gigantic, for lack of a better word, creature that you have on your side. It kind of sits in your back right until it gets enough power. Then it'll go forward, start wreaking havoc, start causing damage all over the place. And the objective is to take down the other team's Guardian. There's like one little spot on their chest that you can hit to try and knock it out. Basically, that's it. That repeats over and over. You have to take down like 3 segments of life on the opposing Guardian. And it's just a lot of fun. It was a lot of running around, a few different strategies. There were at least a couple of different builds for each character, which you kind of handled in-game as opposed to going back to an item shop like you do in a MOBA or even like in Team Fortress 2 where you swap out your guns and whatever in between matches or whatever. It was very fluid, very fast-moving, and I thought I had a pretty good amount of strategy and a lot of different ways to play that really kept it interesting for me with a couple of different characters I played and the different ways I played them.
I love the art style, and that's like cel-shaded type, almost a Zelda Wind Waker. I love that art style, and it looks fluid. Even in just the alpha footage that we're seeing so far, it looks like it's really a fluid game and fast moving. Is it like twitchy shooter, or did you feel like you had more control over things?
Well, that's the cool thing is you can play a character that better suit your taste. Like I played, the two I played were actually rather non-twitchy. I played Uncle Sven, who's an AOE kind of guy, AOE healing support a little bit, so you don't have to be a great shot. And I would at one point, they had their Guardian out, and I had pumped up my AOEs so I could just fire into that, and there was like them and like a couple of their guys, a couple of our guys. I just fire into there and see a bunch of numbers just spring up because it's just AoEs all over the place, a bunch of them. Then I played as the robot guy, HK209, I think he's called. Played him as a turret, basically, so you can deploy yourself. You can't move, but you get all these different bonuses. So I just kind of sat there and just kept picking people off as they went by. Now that's a little more shootery, granted, a little more twitchy, but at least I'm not moving around, having to hop all over the place. Because I have better defenses, I'm like, yeah, go ahead, shoot me, whatever, I don't care. So that was a lot of fun. I mean, but there are other guys. There's a stealthy kind of ninja type who goes around, and you have to be really, really careful to dart in and out on that. There's like a real sniper guy. I think the bow and arrow guy is like a sniper, so you really have to have precise shooting. HK is more like a machine gun. Just hold down your weapon and bop, 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 so you don't need to be as... It's not one shot, one kill kind of stuff. So they have a lot of different ways and a lot of different ways for you to play and find something that suits how you want to play.
Sounds cool. Definitely one to keep our eye on. Now, you didn't write up these ones, but you had a couple other games you kind of wanted to talk about here from PAX South. What's up?
Just in general, too, I thought PAX South seemed like... Because it was the first PAX South, it seemed like they had a lot more smaller companies than the really big companies. Obviously, like SOE wasn't there, or whatever they're called now. A lot of, you don't see Blizzard, you didn't see... A lot of BioWare didn't have a presence. I mean, they had some people there, but not a... They had meeting rooms and so on where they did seminars and whatever. But as a result, a lot of smaller companies were able to take over the floor, and a lot of indie games and so on. And I guess even some of them aren't necessarily indie. I mean, Undead Labs, they do A State of Decay. That's what I was thinking of. They also had a mobile game that they're launching called Moonrise. It's kind of like almost like a Pokemon battler kind of game. There's another one. I got actually an alpha or beta invite, I think, to another game that I checked out called Cards and Castles. Haven't gotten a chance to try it out yet, but it looked kind of interesting at the show. Kind of a card-based battling game, so I'll have to give that a little more look at it. But yeah, I mean, in general, not a whole lot of really like big oh my god news, other than like I said, the 2 or 3 games that I checked out and got a chance to try.
So in the end, I mean, you're press, so you have to go to events like these when possible. But as a gamer, would you attend PAX South next year based on just what was there, what you were able to do, just as a general gamer? Would you go next year?
I'm the kind of guy who's not a big indie guy. In fact, the one guy standing next to me at one game we were looking at, he had a great line. I just overheard him saying it. He said, "That's a game that I'd buy for $5 and play twice and never touch again." And that's kind of how I felt about a lot of the stuff there. And like I said, that's just how I am. I know some people really get into a game where you just run around and do the same thing over and over. It's not me. I'm into more of like the shooters or the RPGs or whatever like that. You need to have more of that stuff at PAX next year to get me to go, and I think there will be a little bit more. I think this was kind of a feeling out for them, and I think it turned out to be... I went to one of the early PAX East, and I thought this felt bigger than that. So I think it's going to grow, and I think it's going to attract a lot more people. Of course, it's pretty close to Austin, where all those game studios are. So you figured they'll have a bigger presence next year, and that would really determine my desire to go there as a fan.
Would be who's going to attend.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, last up today. Don't have a lot of info on this one yet, but we're getting another DDO. Oh god.
But really.
It's a different DDO though.
Yeah.
It's a different one, not Dungeons and Dragons Online. Dragon's Dogma Online is apparently a thing. Again, another piece of news that kind of just well, here you go. It was Famitsu, Weekly Famitsu, the magazine, ran a piece by Capcom on Dragon's Dogma Online. If you're not familiar, Dragon's Dogma is a console RPG. There was Dragon's Dogma. The better one to buy if you've never played it is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, because it has the original in it, and it saves you some money. Great games if you're into like the RPGs, the Dark Souls, the Skyrims, those types of fantasy. If you like that type of stuff, not quite on the difficulty par of Dark Souls, but that's because they have a totally different combat system. I enjoyed them. I like the stories in them more than anything. The gameplay for me on a lot of levels in the consoles is just kind of mediocre. It's good. It does what it's supposed to. I mean, it's not mind-blowing or anything, but the stories for me were always good. So when I saw this, I was pretty excited. I would definitely jump into a Dragon's Dogma Online. Now, we don't know a lot about it. I'm going to show you a little footage from a trailer. But the big question that we still don't know is this even going to be available in the West?
Years and years and years, maybe. That'd be my thought. I mean, it gets a feeling like,
I mean, we're still waiting for Capcom's Monster Hunter Online. In the West.
Yeah, exactly. And that and stuff like Phantasy Star Online 2. I think if we do see it, it won't be for a while. But of course, some people will jump into the Asian beta and will play around in there and give us their impressions. I'm sure.
The game looks gorgeous.
Oh yeah, yeah. It looked. I mean, I'm not a Dragon's Dogma fan. I've never played the single player games. But yeah, just looking at that and seeing that, as you had to explain to me what climbing combat or whatever it was.
Clingy combat.
Clinging combat.
Yeah. So if you've never played the Dragon's Dogma series, one of the actions in combat is your character actually is able to cling to things. So it's environmental things or actual monsters, and fight them that way. So Jason sends me a message. What the hell? Is this a typo? Did you mean clingy combat? And I was like, no. It's clingy combat is correct. It's exactly. And the online version is supposed to still have that. The online version they're also touting as the world is going to be initially about the same size as the single player games, but then will expand over the course of season updates to be 3 times the size of the single player game. So it's definitely one I'm watching. I'd love to see this come out in the West. But I'm not entirely hopeful for it yet because it's Capcom, and like I said, we still haven't seen Monster Hunter Online from Capcom, and yeah. But damn, does it look good.
Oh, it does.
Just visually, it's very, very pretty game.
Yeah, normally I'm not. Normally I'd rather... of course, my thought is, of course, hey, we're fighting the cool dragon,
Yeah.
How often is that going to happen? How many hours do I have to get to do that? So.
All right, let's slide over and do the weekly bombs. All right, I'm going to go first today. I'm going to give 2 bombs, actually. An A bomb for Otherland's last beta. I really wanted to do a first look on Otherland, and I'd contacted them, and they said, oh, yeah, sure, go ahead. You're allowed. If you want to, great, here's a key. And no problem, no NDA, go ahead. And when I got in, I can't do a first look on this. I mean, this is going to look... Not only was it almost impossible to record, but any footage I would have gotten would have been just violently unfair to Drago Entertainment and their development on Otherland, because the server connections were just terrible. The login server and the game server, you had no way of knowing if both were up, if both were down, if one was up, if one was down. The game wouldn't show you. You could log in and start to create a character and then attempt to log into the game server, and it would just spin forever. I mean, it was... And then when you got in, there was so much lag, and I was like, you know what? I'm all for... being impartial, right? And especially in a first look. First look, I'm just showing you some of the stuff of the game. Maybe I give a couple opinions along the way, but I don't bash something. I'll do that in an article or here on the Free to Play cast. Speaking of that, I did a first look this week. Sidebar for, what the hell was it? Elvenar.
Oh.
Oh, God. God. That was bad. And I was talking to people in the comments for the first look for Elvenar, and they said, why so many downvotes? Upvote the video and then comment that you don't like the game. And I replied, no, it's all right. I downvoted this video too.
Wow, so bad you even downvote your own video.
It was that game, even for what it is, which is one of those pay to decrease timers games, I mean, it pushes you right to the gem shop right now. They need to make some serious changes in that one to even make me want to look at that one again. Anyway, but for Otherland, I didn't do the first look because it would have been a disaster of a first look. So I want to give them a dub bomb for this next beta test coming in February, and I hope it goes better. And in fact, right before we started recording this show, I know already that it should be better. Mark over at the Otherland team emailed me asking if I wanted to take part in this one and potentially do a first look. I said, absolutely. I already wrote an article on it. And he said, I know, I read your article. We did work on server stability. So we've got that for us. So dub bomb for a better Otherland test in February. You're up, sir.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to my favorite commercial of the Super Bowl.
Oh, jeez.
Which, granted, I don't play mobile games, and I'm not going to, but that Liam Neeson commercial for Clash of Clans was really, really good. Probably my favorite. Much better. I mean, and I love that it ranked like number 4 overall on Hulu, as opposed to 66. I think was the Kate Upton Game of War commercial, and we won't even talk about the other one. But what I like too, from a serious standpoint, it's neat that that commercial gets more views, it gets more interest than, using boobs to sell your free-to-play game.
Hey,
That actual well-crafted thing by a good actor is getting more attention than boobs.
Liam Neeson will find you, and he'll kill your clan.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's just a tiny bit of hope. Tiny bit of hope for the free-to-play industry.
All right, Lagwin190 says, first off, 2 dub bombs. One for Magic Man's Magic Man's awesome gravity-defying fails in the Creativerse bomb live earlier in the week. Have not laughed so much in a good while. I actually had a lot of fun bomb live with the game Creativerse. I'm definitely going to be playing that again. And the second is Path of Exile versus the Cheats. 14 disqualified from the 8-8 challenges and bans happening actively. This comes after GGG giving them a chance to stop with a warning going out to those that were using them, some claiming that it was used for quality of life particle removal. Unfortunately, for the question of the week, I'm not into console gaming since the 360 PS3, but with the Xbox Ones being hidden behind gold membership, even if it's cheap, it's off-putting for my preferences. PlayStation has the games I'd more like to play. And we'll get back to the question of the week in the end.
Maybe Smid can teach them too.
Right? You're up, sir.
All right, this comes from Giorgio Berardi. Giorgio. I like Giorgio. Hey there, Mike and Jason.
Such an awesome name.
It is, isn't it? Hey there, Mike and Jason. I've been an MMO bomber for quite some time, and I appreciate the job of yours. Congratulations to all the MMO bomb team, including those of us who don't talk on the podcast, all the behind-the-scenes guys. Good for you.
Oh, yeah. All our moderators, everybody's working really hard behind the scenes. Kudos.
Giorgio goes on to say, I'm going to say Giorgio as much as I can. I'm going to give Firefall a dub bomb for its amazing free-to-play system. I would venture to say that Firefall is a true free-to-play. Its currency, market, and crafting systems, and its gameplay overall. Firefall has lost its hype over the last months, but it is still a pretty good game and definitely deserves a try. Thanks and bye. I gave Firefall a try, had some issues with it, haven't been back, but it's one of those games I've definitely never heard anything really bad about its free-to-play system. So
yeah, the only thing that I have against Firefall is even now, it's still just, I don't think it has an identity.
Yeah,
it doesn't
it
really
went
have
around so much during development. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, okay, we're gonna add levels. No, we're gonna take the levels out, and now levels are back in, and we're gonna remove PvP. And
we're gonna esports, big esports PvP. Nope, no PvP.
Yeah, 3% of our player base is playing PvP, so we're gonna totally take it out. I mean, and then Mark Kern ends up leaving Red 5, not of his own volition, but ends up leaving Red 5.
Heard, but anyway.
What's that?
Not a bad thing, as I've heard.
Right. Right, unfortunately. Mark was a nice guy. I mean, I interviewed him way back when on MMO Bomb. We did a video interview with him. Nice guy, and it seemed like they had a good thing going, but then I think they tried to focus on so many things that they focused on nothing. One of those types deals. I don't know. Firefall's confused me for a while. Chris Owen says, another great free-to-play cast from you guys. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to give YouTube the da-bomb for ditching Flash Player and moving to HTML5. Your free-to-play cast looking even more crisp now. All right, let's put on our debonair HD smiles then. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Our question of the week last week. Which console does free-to-play gaming better, the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One? You could even open up the question and just say, which console does MMOs better? Now, I already gave my answer on last week's show. I thought it was clearly hands down PlayStation, and particularly the PlayStation 4. Did you agree?
I said I thought it was a little more even than that just because of some of the games that are on the Xbox.
Gotcha. So you're treading the line. I see how it's going to be between us. Sword of Ascension said, ready for this? PlayStation 4 does everything better than Xbox One.
You might have something there, I'll grant you that.
Go ahead.
Cal himself says, the one where you don't need a subscription to play online. Figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whole Xbox Gold paywall. And yes, PSN has a paywall too, but most of its free-to-play games aren't hidden behind that paywall. You can access them without being a PSN Gold member. Or Platinum, or whatever the hell they call theirs. Dragon S142X. I think PlayStation 4 right now is doing better than Xbox One. Maybe it's just me, but like he said in the video, I don't want to have to pay $60 extra for a game that's free to play on PC. For example, Smite. and this is a good example, by the way. I can't wait for it to come out to consoles, but Microsoft is probably going to put it behind Gold, so I hope Hi-Rez also releases it on the PS4. If it's truly free, though, on Xbox One, that would be even better. Well, right now, all we know about Smite's console is Xbox One. We don't know a potential PlayStation 4 right now. So, and I would imagine that it's going to be behind the Gold. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm an Xbox Live Gold member, too, and I don't want to leave the impression that I think it's not worth it or anything. I've been a Gold member since years and years ago on the 360. And for that $60 a year, you're getting a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not just access to these free-to-play games, but you get access to all of them, too. So it's, as long as you're a member, it doesn't matter. If there's 50 free-to-play games out there, you're getting them all. It's not a bad system, but I just think it kind of stabs the whole idea of free-to-play in the face a little bit. When, if you're not a Gold member, then these free-to-play games you cannot play on our system. I just think that's kind of counterintuitive to me. Am I nuts?
No, that sounds totally logical. Totally reasonable.
All right, good. For a minute, I thought...
Well, you might be totally nuts, so that's on another matter entirely.
This is true. Go ahead, sir.
5000 CZ says, PS4 does MMOs better compared to Xbox One, mainly because it's more powerful, so it can run the games at higher frames with better graphics. However, PC is the birthplace for MMOs, so it's the best. And yes, by definition, it is a console. PC is the master race. PCs are consoles. Ketchup is a vegetable.
Interesting. Interesting. Ketchup doesn't have seeds, so I guess technically
neither does milk, so milk is a vegetable.
Milk is a vegetable now, too. You heard it here first. Breaking news, free-to-play cast. Milk is a vegetable. All right, our question... Where the hell did this show go? This reminds me of an episode that you and Spunkify and I did.
Oh, God.
That just turned into an absolute train wreck about halfway through, and we started talking about butter.
Oh, butter.
And greasing people up, and it was just bizarre. And here we go. Now milk is a vegetable. You heard it here first. Jason Winter, breaking news. Our question for the week, this week, gang. With our breaking news story yesterday, what are your thoughts on Sony Online Entertainment being sold? Is it good for the games? Is it good for Sony Online Entertainment? Is it good for Sony as a whole company? Leave your feedback in the comments below. Make sure you also leave your dub-bomb or A-bomb. Dub-bomb for something good, A-bomb for something bad. Important part of the show, you don't put them there, I got a whole segment. I don't have anything to put in. Important.
I was going to say one last thing that I was talking with some people last night about that. They said, why Daybreak Game Company?
Yeah.
It's so long. Why not just Daybreak or Daybreak Games or something? Just
even the acronym is hard to DGC.
DGC. Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah.
DGC.
DGC. SOE was much better.
SOE was much better. It was much better acronym. Mr. Jason Winter, where can everybody follow you, sir?
Follow me on the Twitter at WinterInformal. Where else? Streaming. Twitch.tv/JasonWinter. Blogging. JasonWinter.wordpress.com.
He's a busy man. I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me right there on Twitter at MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1, the spelling that drives Jason nuts every time he has to use it. And, of course, you can follow me on MMOBomb.com, where we're always posting news and giveaways. Head on over, take a chance at some new Smite gods. Until next time, stay safe. We'll see you on the server.